Skylines 2, and welcome back to Canebrake. When we left off last time, we had just begun plotting out the bones of what's going to become our Louisiana-themed city. We've got the beginnings of a good neighborhood here. We developed a church and some basic city services. We have a long ways to go. We've only filled up about half of our city grid, and as it stands right now, we're hemorrhaging funds, and we'll be out of money completely nearly by month's end. So we have a lot to do. So first on our priority list today is going to be to become profitable within the confines of the game, first and foremost, because we can't make a good-looking city if we're bankrupt. Second, we're going to continue expanding out our grid outwards from this original parcel. We're going to introduce some variety to our road network so that's a little bit less samey with the grid system, as well as we're going to finish fleshing out this stretch of the grid, including our civic center, city hall, right here in the center. We're going to be adding parking to a lot of our uses, which is something that was sorely missing last episode due to our not having unlocked the parking unlock yet. So we're going to get that done today as well. So I hope you enjoy, and if you'd like to follow along, the map and mod list is in the description. Alright, so our first order of business is going to be to get this city profitable. We're basically just going to have to zone out and fill out some of our demand, as well as probably raise some taxes and lower some service upkeeps. I think we went a little bit overboard last episode with some of our infrastructure that we didn't quite need yet. And I think it's costing us a good bit, because if you go into our revenues here, we have 19,000 going to electricity costs. We have 220,000 going to our service upkeep. So if we go over to our services, we can see here that the police department is actually our largest expense, other than healthcare, of course, right now. And looking up here at our CityStats mod, our crime rate is next to none. So I'm going to go ahead and take a gamble and reduce this all the way down. And you can see down here the service efficiency at the bottom right tells you exactly how much of an impact this is going to have. I think I'm comfortable with a minus 15% service efficiency right now, so we'll cut that. That'll save us about $7,000 a month. We'll cut the fire department just a little bit, but not too much. We're also going to up our electricity service fee to 110%. This is the maximum amount you can raise the electricity service fee without impacting the efficiency of your electricity delivery or the happiness of your people. And the same thing with water. We're going to bring this up to minus 4% water consumption for the same reason. Any higher and we would start making our people unhappy and reducing the efficiency of the water company. So that'll help stop the gap a little bit, but we're going to have to fill out a good bit of this zoning. So we're going to zone a couple more blocks of residential here around the elementary school and the cemetery. We're going to leave a little bit of space on this main stretch of road, since I'm not entirely sure what that's going to develop as, but I'm pretty certain it's not going to be single-family housing. So we'll do a few more blocks like this. Matter of fact, we'll fill out these as well for now. And up here. This should give us a good start to the neighborhood. We also do have some demand for commercial and industrial. I'm just going to fill in this stretch of road up here with a few more northeastern wall-to-wall buildings, just for the time being. And we'll see how they look, and if anything doesn't look right, we can always go back and mess with it later. But right now, we just need to get buildings up and people in the city. We've also got some industrial demand. I'm hesitant to actually zone a lot of industrial right now, as we don't really have a great place for it. But we do have this unused batch of coastal forest here, and I think it would be pretty reasonable for this land to be leased or sold as logging land, at least for the time being, until something else is developed here. As the city grows, I imagine this would be sold and redeveloped. But for now, I'll turn on Anarchy so we can get a decent sized area here. And I think you likely see some kind of fencing along a logging land to prevent hunting and trespassing in the area. So we're going to go in here to our fencing, and we're going to find something that would be fitting. I think this iron fence might be a little bit too expensive for what we're looking for. I think this chain link would probably be a little bit more realistic, even though it's a bit uglier. And actually, it started it in the wrong place, silly me. We'll bring this all the way around our logging area for now, and then eventually, when this land is sold off for development, the fence will come back down. Make sure it goes around our Whataburger that we built last time right here on the edge of town. And all the way around to the other side. There we go. We've got a logging company set up here in town. And the final thing that we're going to do before we unpause the game to continue is go into our economics tab one more time. I'm going to go over here to taxation, and we're going to bump all of these up to 11 because we need the money. And we're going to press play, and we're going to hope we don't go bankrupt. Houses are filling out down here. Commercial buildings filling out okay as well. I don't love what these are doing, but we'll wait and see what they look like once they're built before we do anything about it. We've also got some demand for some medium density residential. And I think as we get closer into our civic center here, I'm actually going to utilize some of these Old Town housing buildings. So these are modded. These are just the regular Old Town assets from the vanilla game with the commercial propping removed. So I'm going to use a mix of these and the vanilla game mixed use Old Town assets here around our city center. We've zoned out a little bit of medium density housing around here. We're going to leave some space rather for some of these mixed assets that we don't quite have unlocked yet. could just plop them, but like I said, I want to try to do this a little more organically, at least here at first, before we get too in the weeds on things like that. So in the meantime, I'm going to go back into low density commercial and continue filling out this little corridor here down on Center Street. I think we're going to leave a little alleyway right here. I think that might look good. I'm going to go 3 deep for now. I think here we might go a little bigger. We'll see how that looks. This will give us room for another alleyway right here, where we can put in some parking, some other uses like that. Alright, and we did just unlock the particle board factory. We're going to go ahead and find a place for this now. This is going to be a big help in satisfying some of our industrial demand, as well as providing some much needed jobs and some income for the city. So we've got our logging lands right here. I do believe the particle board factory is a pollutant, so we're going to consider that when we find a location for it. And seeing that our prevailing winds go this way, I think that up here will be a decent enough spot for it for now, so it likely won't be a permanent location. But we'll go in here and we'll see if we can't make it fit. Now, I do notice there is groundwater here that we would be at risk of polluting, and this is actually the very same groundwater that we get our drinking water from, so I don't actually think that's going to work. I think instead we might actually place it out here on our farming land, perhaps right about there, and we'll redo some of the work we just did, which is fine by me. And we do have a little bit more groundwater intrusion here, but it does seem to be a distinct reservoir from the one that we actually get our drinking water from, so I'm not going to be too worried about it right now. Let's turn off our snapping for a moment. We'll come in here, try to line this up even with the edge of the map, perhaps, if we can. That looks pretty good to me. Or would I rather line it up against the road? I think that might actually look a little bit better. Yeah, we'll try that instead. Make sure our topography works here as well. I don't want to get too crazy. I know it's not the craziest topography in the world, but I want to make sure that I'm not being disrespectful toward it. And we'll try right there. I don't love the idea of having a stoplight right here. I'm not sure it's totally necessary, nor are these crosswalks. It's another thing that I actually need to go ahead and repair while I'm here. Sorry to be a little scatterbrained about it, but I had completely forgotten about this from last time. Make sure that all looks decent. We'll come over here, and I think we are going to remove this stoplight, and in doing so, we'll add ourselves a protected turn lane on this side. I do wish that it would carry the traffic to the 2 straight lanes instead, but I'm not sure I can do that without disrupting the right of way of these private places. So we'll see how this works, and we'll change it if we need to. And if you notice things looking a little bit different visually, there's a couple of reasons for that as well. I did take into account some comments I got last time about it not looking too good visually on YouTube, and that was actually a mistake on my part when recording. I actually accidentally recorded in the incorrect resolution. But I've made sure that that is fixed for now, and I've also adjusted my Lumina settings just a touch. Hopefully made it look a little bit better. But, like always, very open to recommendations in that regard or in any regard. So I've added an oak tree canopy here. I think we're going to do just some small clustering as well. Something a little less controlled out here. Let's make sure Anarchy's off for this, because that's insane. And you could barely even tell that it was there. Just imagine you work at the particle board factory, you get off of a long shift after work and stop by Whataburger on your way home. And before we forget, let's make sure we re-add these fences back in too. As this would likely all be one big parcel, we'll make sure it is all properly fenced in. Do an advanced curve to mimic the road. But evidently that is a continuous. Whoopsies. I think that looks alrighty. It's got 100 employees as well, so that should give a good dent in our unemployment rate. Next, I'm going to fill out the last few parcels in this neighborhood here from last time. And I imagine these houses might sell for a slight discount compared to the rest of the neighborhood due to the smell. So after doing that, we've increased our cost of importate. So after all of that, we've basically made no progress on our economy, and that's because everything we've placed uses electricity, which we're importing at cost. So while we still have some semblance of an economy left, we're going to go in here, we're going to find that we're at about 2.5 megawatts consumption, and we produce nil, zilch, zero. So we're going to go in here and looking at these 3 wind turbines we have available to us, as well as this small coal power plant, which wouldn't really help us because we'd be importing the coal anyway. We're going to have to place a few windmills, which is a little counter to the realistic Louisiana aspect of the build. It's not a ton of wind power in this state. We're basically built on oil and natural gas around here, and there has not been a lot of ingress into the area by renewable energy companies. So this is not the height of realism, but this is just to get the city profitable. It's going to have a small wind turbine operation. And I think this small wind turbine is going to be a little more cost effective for us at the moment. And again, I know it's not the height of realism, but we're taking drastic action to save the city. We'll place 2 of these right here off the main road, connect them up to one another underground. I meant to do that. Then we'll connect them beneath the ground, which is something I wish Louisiana would do more often in real life. There we go. Again, I'm not super happy with having these here, but they're going to help us in the short term. So after doing that, our monthly balance did shoot up quite a bit. Oh, and we've unlocked the antique store. This is a wonderful asset that I would love to go ahead and get placed, so we'll do that as soon as we finish looking at this. I expect this last 12k of imported electricity to fall off the balance sheet, but that's not quite going to get us to where we need to be. We are now also making money from the export of electricity, so that is ideal, and matter of fact, it might even be worth placing a third one of these just to get the economy situated, because I do believe these are making a profit, because these are costing a total of $10,000 a month, and if we come into our electricity, we're making $13,000 a month off of electricity. So we're making almost $4,000, so almost $2,000 per month off of each one of these, it would seem. I think that might be worth maybe getting a couple more. Redundancy to our system here, connect these directly up to the grid here in Compact Street, as well as back through to the transformer itself. And you know, as unrealistic as it is, especially with them being in such close proximity to these transmission wires, I think it looks kind of cool. So we'll leave it until we can come up with something better. And as these houses continue filling out, we are nearing the closure of that gap ever closer. We've got some more waterfront properties here to take care of, so we're going to go into our North American low-density waterfront zoning and zone some more houses for these folks. And we're going to fix the zoning right here. I'd prefer this, I believe. I think I'll be able to get a couple more houses out of it that way. So I'm not really going for a huge parcel size here. I'm just looking to get people, like I said, into the town. I just have to say I really enjoy these low-density North American house assets that were put together by Seraphim on PDX mods. I think these look a lot more realistic to a North American city than a lot of what was already in the game. So great job. And with that, we've actually unlocked milestone 4, Grand Village. This gives us a much needed 100 grand. And a much needed espresso drive-through place. And a mixed-use building we're probably not going to use for a little bit, but maybe it'll find its way into the city center. So we've unlocked our districts, policies, disasters, low-rent housing, offices, basic transit, parks. This is a big one. So the first thing I did was draw this district, and we're going to name it Canebrake. More than likely this will eventually become known as Old Canebrake, so to speak. But for now, it is the only Canebrake here. And as soon as we get level 5, I'll be able to implement energy consumption awareness, which will reduce the energy consumption of everything in the area by 5%. So that'll be a flat 5% bonus to our little electricity export system we've got going here, which, as you can see, it's nearly broken even for us. Alright, so our economic problems are, for the most part, solved. The next thing that we're going to do is place a few of these special unlocks that we've got. So we've got our antique store here. It's a really beautiful wall-to-wall building that we're going to place near into our town center here. And I think right here will actually be pretty good. Although I did want to get an alleyway right there if I could. So I think we'll do this, and then rezone this old town building, which I know, height of realism here, but we're playing fast and loose today, I suppose. Get that replaced. And the reason I wanted this here is I really like the side of this building, how it looks like there used to be more wall-to-wall style buildings here, but eventually they were torn down for something else. Presumably this fire station in the alleyway that will now run right next to it as well. I'll make sure we remove superfluous crosswalks. Next we're going to place this gas station. This is something that we are sorely lacking, and that's something that you likely see at the entrance to every town. So we're going to go ahead and place one out here on this parcel next to our Whataburger and our particle board factory. I knew it would be a good idea to leave this at least somewhat empty. We're going to remove a little bit of this landscaping in its place. That's more than fine. We can do something like this instead. And I'm going to try to find a sign for this place. If I find the exact one, perhaps that would make me very happy. Alright, now we've got some good road signage for our gas station that is just a little offset. As a matter of fact, I can imagine the gas station would be very happy with the logging company or whoever happens to own this screening land to have a little bit of a sightline to their business. So we'll go ahead and do that for them. And as we can see, we've already got people coming in and making use. Alright, and with the economy finally in the green, nice and balanced, we can move on to our next couple of projects. The first of which is going to be adding some much needed parking areas to our existing town. So this is something that I wasn't able to do last time due to not having them unlocked and not being able to afford them. But now we've got the ability to add these. So we're going to add a few parking spaces. We're going to use these in-game parking lots if we can, but we're also going to be making our own as we need, of course. So first things first, I think I want to fill up this back alley here with some parking spaces. And I know I could fit that modest parking lot right here, but I don't think that would look very good with these buildings needing truck access. So what we're going to actually do is draw these out. And that leaves us with a small space for a couple of parking lots. So rather than using any parking lot roads or vanilla parking, we're going to be using domes parking spaces, which is also available on Paradox mods. These are functional, ploppable parking spaces that allow you to kind of piecemeal build your own parking areas for when you don't have any other option that really fits. And that's the position we find ourselves in right here. And these do require a little bit more work and finessing than some of the other parking mods available out there. But when you have an awkward space like this, I think it's really worth coming in and making something that really properly fits. So we'll do something kind of like this. We will find our invisible road path. Connect these up. And I'm not usually much of one to do this kind of detailing, but I think in this situation it's pretty necessary just to distinguish the drive area from the parking areas. Perfect. And we'll take this no parking decal here and place it right along the drive lanes so that everybody knows this is a place for work. And let me know how you think this looks. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but if you have any other ideas of how we could do this, let me know. I'm going to move on to this other side. I think you might just barely be able to fit a couple of these double spaces in, but I think it's probably better safe than sorry to not to. We'll just do some more of these angled spaces and I realize as I've worked that these buildings upgraded and it broke our services, so we're going to redraw these in by hand. Alright, and after spending a little too long on all of that, we have what is, in my opinion, a pretty good looking little parking area for this back alley of one of our commercial hubs. And it's some much needed parking, as none of these places really had any built in at all. The next task I want to take on is some more parking over here at our our elementary school, where we built last time, but were unable to add parking. So we're going to come in here. This time we will make use of some pre-made parking assets, I think. And I'm a big fan of this modest parking lot, to be honest with you. I think it's my favorite of the vanilla parking lots. And I'm not so sure we need two, but we'll place one right there on this more trafficked side. I think we'll do something like so. And so that would be some good parking for teachers, administrators, just the people that work at the elementary school. We don't need a ton of parking here, as the kids don't typically drive. However, I think it would be kind of cool if we could have maybe some kind of carpool drop off here. I think for that, we're going to make use of DeSoto Street as it has a little bit less connectivity. And I'm not so sure I can make this work, but we're going to give it a shot. And I think that these bike shelter props would do pretty good as a carpool prop. So we're gonna try it out. Or maybe these carport glass shelters, but in my opinion these look a little bit too fancy. I think these are a lot more like what you'd see at a public school in the United States. Alright, and dare I say, I think this looks pretty good. We have a carpool lane for elementary school now for these childrens to be efficiently dropped off and picked up from their learning each day. Went a little crazy with the detailing and the decals here, but I think it turned out pretty nice, so I'm happy with it. I did notice, of course, that there are people using this to street park on, and at first I thought about getting rid of that with Road Builder, but I think I'm going to leave it for now simply because I think it kind of adds to the pick-up, drop-off kind of aesthetic, like maybe these people are here waiting on their student or something like that. So we're going to leave it for now, see how people feel about it, and if you have a recommendation for a better way to do this, I'm all ears. The final parking area I wanted to add before we move on is going to be to this group of row houses that we built last time. These places don't have their own driveways, and they do have these backing walking paths, which makes me think that they might be an ideal candidate for a particular parking asset that I quite like. So we're going to bring an alleyway out here. I'm going to bring in our canopy-covered parking lots, and oh, it's actually just about a perfect size. I like that a lot. So each house, I suppose, gets 1 or 2 bays, it looks like. I think there's 8 in each of these. Yeah, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 houses. So 16 spots for 12 houses, pretty typical for a townhouse community, I think. Leave a few for visitors and whatnot. So what we'll do is we'll plop another one of these bad boys right next door. We'll make sure that it is locked to level. And I think that we're going to go ahead and color these all the same to indicate that they're one singular development. So we'll go ahead and do that. Make it a nice kind of forest green, one of my favorite colors. And we'll go ahead and give this alleyway access out onto Assembly Street. And there we go. And to the individual who let me know that we definitely needed more parking areas, thank you for the suggestion. Those are the kinds of suggestions I really love. And I hope that you are happy with some of the parking that I've added. The game seems to be, because we've unlocked an interior design studio. I don't think we're going to place that quite yet. It's a little too urban for, I think, what we're going for at the moment. Alright, so let's take a look at what we've accomplished today as we have the Aurora Borealis going overhead, which is not typical for Louisiana, but we'll work with it for now. We've added some logging industry to our community. We've developed our kind of interior urban plat quite a bit. We still have a few more blocks to finish out, but it's really starting to fill out nicely. We're developing our Old Town section piece by piece. Pretty soon we're going to have mixed zoning, at which point that's going to become a really wonderful area, I think. We've added parking areas across a lot of our build from last time. And we've balanced the city economically as well, which means that the pace of things can really start to pick up once we've got some money in the bank. So I'm just going to fill out a little bit more zoning. I noticed our commercial's not filling out here. Pretty sure it's because we only have demand for hotels at the moment. But we're just going to keep filling things out for now. So we had a lot of hotel demand milling around, kind of muddying up our overall commercial demand here. So I went ahead and plopped this one hotel here. It seemed like a decent enough spot for it. Made a parking lot behind it, and then we've got a couple of offices filling in on this side. Alright, we've reached a point now where basically everything I'd like to have zoned is zoned. I went ahead and added a new street up here. Got a few more single family houses in there. And I've just kind of been going piecemeal, block by block, with a mixture of zoning and plopping. Trying to get a feel for the environment that I'm building here. I've put in a few more alleys. Debating whether to make this parking or more of like a plaza courtyard kind of area. And I've got some more kind of courtyard areas that I'm going to have to fill out. These areas, I'm basically just waiting for my mixed zoning to come unlocked for me so that I can round out these couple of blocks and fill out the interior courtyards kind of in the same way that I did this one here. I've also got this one, I kind of began it, this one is already zoned even, but I can't get any commercial to spawn that isn't a hotel, so we're waiting on that. Alright, we just unlocked the bottle cap office. I quite like this asset, so let's go ahead and see if we can't find a place for it. Alright, and we have our bottle cap office on its own little lot right off the main street. I like to imagine that maybe whatever forestry company has been operating successfully in town, maybe they wanted a nice corporate office for themselves, or maybe it's a whole new business altogether moving in. So I don't know, the possibilities are endless, but I really like how this is looking, especially right off of the main street like this. I think it's going to eventually end up looking like this is kind of an older area of town, and maybe this block over here either never developed or has been redeveloped into maybe some kind of an office park. So I think it looks great. Alright guys, and I think I'm going to actually call it there for the day. I know progress has been a little slow to start, but I think now that we've got the simulation part of the game really down pat and conquered, I think that the aesthetics of it are really going to start coming together very quickly. We can already see we've got a little bit of an old town area forming here in the middle. Next installment we're going to work on this empty block in the center that's going to become our city hall, as well as our first kind of park public space, and I want to really do it justice and make it beautiful and dedicate the time that it needs to it. So we're going to save that for next time. Hopefully by that time the zoning will have filled out the remainder of these few blocks that we've got left over. Getting mixed zoning will definitely help with that as well. But I'm very happy with the progress we've been making. I think this looks very much like the kind of town that you might find in Louisiana just driving along the state highways. I've been to dozens of them through the years, and they're always very charming little places, so I'm really happy. So I'm really happy with the progress that we had here today. We developed our little office park down here. First office building has come in, and I can imagine maybe 2 or 3 other large kind of office signature buildings coming here in the future, and maybe some regular office zoning as well as we get more demand for that. We've begun filling out our Old Town area with some alleyways, some Old Town assets and housing, and a little bit of detailing. We did some work on our elementary school that I'm incredibly proud of. This carpool lane seems to be working pretty well. We've got a line of people that we're going to say are lined up to get their children from school at the end of the day. and I think it looks really fantastic. I think this reminds me a lot of the carpool lane that I remember sitting in for years when I grew up in Louisiana myself. We've also got this parking area over here. We've got one that's unfinished, of course, and then we've got our completed one here that I'm incredibly happy with. I think this adds some much needed detail and parking space to this kind of commercial downtown area along Canebrake Road. I think this is relatively realistic for what you see in an older construction kind of commercial zone. And as we move a little further out from the center of the city, I think we're going to move more towards more automotive-oriented businesses, but I think this came out really, really well, and I'm very, very happy with it, especially these cargo loading bays back here. Finally, we added logging industry as well as a particle board factory here on the edge of our town. We made sure to properly fence it off with industrial fencing to keep all of the rapscallions out. Over here we've got our Whataburger and our brand new gas station. We have a lot of foot traffic here as well. Might be a good idea to get some public transit in here next installment. And finally we've got our particle board factory that we completed today. And with that, we've actually unlocked Tiny Town, which grants us $125,000 as well as access to the mixed housing that we've been waiting on for so long, as well as some other policies, post, internet. It's a good one. So next time, we're going to fill out the remainder of these couple of blocks with our new mixed housing. We're going to fill out all of the courtyards, alleyways, and center of the blocks that we haven't touched on yet. We're going to expand our grid outwards along these waterfronts to new horizons. And we're going to build levee systems and finally get to that Civic Center City Hall here in the middle. So again, I apologize for the slow progress, and if you're sticking with me through all of this, thank you so much. My goal is to make something that is beautiful and something that's enjoyable, not just for me, but for everybody. So if you have any recommendations, suggestions, or comments, please let me know. If you think I'm being crazy in a certain area, please let me know. I'm always happy to adhere to whatever suggestions you got. And again, I'd like to thank the individual who told me that I definitely needed more parking, because that's something that I neglected last time, and I hope that you're satisfied with some of the parking that we added in today, and just know that there's a lot more where that came from. So thank you again, everybody, for watching, and have a good one. This has been Canebrake.